purposely clickbaity title because actually descriptive titles don't fly on YouTube. Hate the game, not the player. I was only slightly aware there were other genders besides the binary I'd grown up with of boy and girl when Yael discovered they were non-binary. You can tell how uneducated I was on the matter by how I used gender fluid and agender interchangeably in my initial videos discussing the topic in 2017. Degrassi was partly to blame, but hell, we're still trying to figure the terms out, so I won't hold it against them. Especially since they accomplished something great. They gave representation to an under-acknowledged population of our world. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who was introduced to the concept of being non-binary through Yael. As mentioned before, Yael didn't just become something they already weren't. They just realized a side of themselves they didn't know existed. Before, they thought they were just content being the not that kind of girl. Slightly tomboyish, smart, feminine dressing, but not engaging in makeup or skirts except for in very specific instances. But then their developing body couldn't be ignored. Their breasts were becoming a problem as their body in general developed, and when Lola showed Yael how a bra could bring them in line, they realized they wanted more than that. They wanted to make it like they didn't have breasts to begin with. And that opened up a world of options they hadn't tried before in a desire to look more like how they felt on the inside. No longer did they need to just compromise with the body and gender given to them. Yael didn't have to just be the not that type of girl stereotype. They didn't have to present feminine if they didn't want it. Finding their breasts showed that there were little things they could do to feel more like themselves, not shaving their armpits, for instance. Lola introduced them to the notion of being non-binary and the look that they would immediately adopt after coming out, but she didn't really change who Yael was. She just gave her friend words to describe what they were feeling and clothes to express it. And those clothes are notably not unlike what they were already wearing. They were still smart and classy in that slightly hipster way, but just more androgynous. The most drastic thing was Yael's hair, but that was just Lola showing them how to style it in a way to make it look theirs. When Yael was confronted by their physical womanhood and how everyone perceived them as a girl, they then realized how none of that matched who they were. It only happened to not come up until season 4. I'm not surprised it wasn't an issue sooner because before they got a properly fitting bra, they were basically just one of the guys. Then post-bra, people around them started to treat them as a girl, and their reaction to that revealed that calling themselves a girl was somehow wrong. Yael was repulsed by it, but wasn't sure why yet. Most of us like to think who and what we are is pretty well figured out by high school. You'd say by then, after living with yourself for around 14 years, you should have a grasp on what you feel inside. But think back to those days. Or for those of you still young, consider how you actually feel. High school is a confusing time, and often that confusion persists. Think of the many people coming out as an LGBT+ identity today who are currently senior citizens, or how many adults are finding out that they're on the autism spectrum. It can be hard sometimes to know for sure what you feel, especially if you don't have the vocabulary to describe it. I'd always known that I didn't experience attraction and sexuality like my friends, but it took me till my 23rd year to know that I was asexual. And it's hard to do introspection if you don't think you need to. What is there to look for if you think you get who you are already? All my life, I just sort of accepted that I was a girl. I had a phase where I completely rejected dresses and skirts in favor of jeans, but today I wear a bit of both depending on my mood. I was never big into makeup except for eyeliner because that's what you wear to look emo, and I still find the look cool. But when they split up the class by gender or when searching for a bathroom, I just always accepted that I was just a girl. The most problem I had with my womanly body is that I felt too chunky and that my breasts were too big. But having them at all wasn't an issue. I hated things that come with being a girl like periods, but not in a dysphoric way. I still felt like myself through it all. And what I wanted to change didn't involve altering my gender-related presentation. So for 24 years, I've considered myself cisgendered. But then I started thinking about it. I questioned this thing that I'd taken as clear fact and found I don't feel like a woman. I like to dress in a stereotypically feminine way, but I'm not attached to being called a girl. I don't feel like a boy either though. I wouldn't be happier if I looked like a guy, but I still don't feel like a girl. This is especially confusing for me because I'm basically a gender nihilist. The way I see it, gender is something created by our society and dictated by outside influence based on what genitals you have. If gender was something internal, then why do different cultures have a different idea of what it is to be a girl or a boy? To me, it would seem that gender is basically all in presentation, i.e. how you act, dress, and carry yourself, but there's no big truth behind it. So by that reasoning, I think it would be ideal for people to not sweat labels related to gender and just look however they wish regardless of sex traits. I mean, it seems applicable to the real world because I'm reasoned enough to dress according to what feels right to me and not what's in line with gender norms. But that's where the snag comes in. Do I feel no attachment to presenting like a girl because I'm really not a girl in the first place? Where does this notion that we shouldn't care about gender or gender presentation originate? Is it out of a philosophical truth that I've stumbled upon? Or am I like Weihart and confusing my agender experience for a demonstration that gender really is a made-up social construct? Why exactly do I look within myself and find gender nihilism so agreeable? Is it simply because I don't experience gender to begin with? I wish I knew. I was thinking about doing a video like this for a while, but the instigator came last week during one of my sorta monthly live streams, which you can find out when the next one is via Discord or Twitter, links below. There, we got on the topic of gender, and I described my gender nihilism and how I didn't feel like anything. In response to my description, I was told by some of the viewers that what I described was what it is to be a gender. Part of me is thrilled to feel included and validated about something I'd been pondering for months, but even still, I don't feel confident enough to adopt the label fully. Is this just my stance on gender leaking into how I view myself? I've never really felt dysphoric in any way except for confronting my weight gain. I tend to put a feminine spin on anything I wear, and I wouldn't want to stop dressing in that way. But when I hear people discuss their gender identity, they tell me something internal pulls them to their place on the spectrum. That something inside them says, yes, I'm a girl, or yes, I'm a boy. And I don't have that. I still feel like none of the above, and now when I think about answering questionnaires, I pause when considering which gender I should call myself. I know this is not a unique feeling. 1 second on Tumblr and you'll see how common it is to be uncertain if you belong to any given label. It often feels you need to check very specific boxes to call yourself gay, asexual, trans, agender, gender fluid, etc. Before now, I never really felt this about my sexuality or gender identity. Imposter syndrome in general is nothing new to me, but now I keep asking myself, am I really agender or just confused? I don't think my life experience really matches the YouTubers I've heard describe how they realized what they are, but do I have to match theirs in every way? How much allowance can be given to personal experience before I am classified as something else entirely? Why does this even matter, some of you are asking? At the end of the day, I'm still me, so why should I care if I'm agender or cisgendered? Why can't I just be me? Well, I am going to be me, no matter what label I fall under. While I do want to try an androgynous look someday, it's not because I don't feel like a girl. But that doesn't mean I don't want to explore myself. I like introspection. I spend a lot of time in my head, and it creates some of my favorite videos and poems. It's nice to know about myself and why I do what I do. If there's a name for how I feel, like asexual, depressive, agender, I want to know. It won't affect my happiness, but it won't hurt either. It's not like I'm distressed by investigating what is this creature I call me. I'm just being cool. So, in retrospect, I guess this is a sort of coming out video, but again, I'm not entirely sure. Basically, right now, I'm in a state where I'm basically saying, I guess I'm agender. If you're wondering about pronouns, feminine pronouns are okay, especially because I've basically been conditioned to respond to them, but they and them's cool too. He and him, not so much into. As always, if you want to keep up with the things that I make, check out this Discord invite link where you'll find a content stream of the things that I and my friends are involved with, and you can also chat me up in my NotAVampyre crypt. Or as always, you can find me on Twitter at NotAVampyre. Thank you very much for consuming this video, and until next time.